In this session, I'm going to do an overview of the system health monitoring features in EventSentry. I'm not going to explain any specific features here, but rather just provide an overview so you understand how these features work, what capabilities they have, especially when it comes to generating alerts such as disk space alerts, performance monitoring alerts, and so forth. So if you look at this diagram, we can see at the top left all the system health features that are available. So as you know, EventSentry can monitor and inventory services and drivers, disk space as well as directories. We can monitor file integrity for any folder. EventSentry does complete software and hardware inventory, including browser extensions. EventSentry can inventory scheduled tasks from Windows. Of course, we have performance monitoring, so any Windows performance counter can be monitored, as well as SNMP counters on non-Windows devices, as well as custom performance counters where we can retrieve data, for example, through scripts, like a PowerShell script, for example. So we can pull in any sort of data, even from a website, and monitor the values returned by that, for example, temperature. EventSentry can also verify and adjust the system time, the NTP protocol. We can monitor processes as well. Is a specific process, including a command line, active? We can detect new processes listening for incoming network connections. And of course, you can also monitor anything that can be monitored with a custom script. So you can integrate any sort of third-party application into EventSentry and run that on a regular basis. So how does it work? What capabilities do we have in terms of collecting data and alerting on data? So what's important to understand is that any sort of alert that's generated by a system health feature, I'm going to go with the most simple example here, a disk space alert, right? So your C drive is running out of disk space, let's say is under a threshold of 5%. EventSentry, that feature will log an event to the event log that that the disk space is low. And there is if you look at any of the system health features in EventSentry, all the ones that have the red line onto the left of them, which is basically all of them, then you will not see any option to specify, for example, an email recipient in those features, because those features don't have a way to directly send out an email alert, for example, or any other alert for that matter. All they do is they will generate the logs in the application event log. And that is done by design. And the reason is that EventSentry includes a very powerful event log monitoring engine that already monitors the event log and gives you a lot of capabilities to then decide where and how to forward these events to a multitude of action types, such as email, for example, or syslog, or uploading it, submitting it to a ticketing system, for example. So it would really clutter the interface and make the whole configuration a lot more complicated if all these features that are already present in the event log monitoring filters into the system health components as well. So going back to the top left where we see all the system health features, you can see that every feature in there has the ability to generate an alert that is then written to the event log. Once it's written to the event log, the first benefit here is that the alert is actually present and logged to the application event log. So even if you are not getting emails or whatnot, you can look at the event log and see these alerts. And then your event log filters will then decide, okay, what do we do with this alert? Do we send it to an email recipient? Do we send it to multiple recipients? Do we send it to different recipients on the weekend? And so forth. The other capability that a system health feature has, that most of them have, is of course collecting data in a database. So if we look on the top left and look at all the system health features, we can see that the top 6 features, starting with services and drivers all the way down to performance monitoring, also have the ability to collect data in the database. So that allows you to see things like disk space charts, a history of file integrity changes, browse through a software or hardware inventory, and so forth. So all the features that have this blue line can actually log to the database. And all of that, of course, is configurable. So you can decide that you only want to get alerts. You don't want to store anything in the database, or vice versa, or both. So it's up to you, up to the user to decide what do you want to do. And once it's in the database, well, then you can create reports. You can review that information with the web reports and so forth. I'll be reviewing each system health feature, of course, in a separate video and explain how we generate alerts, what type of alerts it generates, and also how we can store data in the database.